Internet is a platform where you can learn almost anything. Here is my humble attempt to teach the basics of Ayurveda through a series of videos on YouTube. This is intended for the beginner students, enthusiasts, and my patients who have been asking for this. To learn any art or science, you need to learn the basics thoroughly. For example, in photography, you need to understand what's aperture, ISO, and shutter speed to get the perfect exposure. Everything else like lighting, composition, etc. comes secondary. When you think about Ayurveda, the first thing that pops up in mind for most people would be the three things called as vata, pitha, and kapha. You need a perfect balance of vata, pitta, and kapha for a perfect healthy state. Variations of any of these in terms of quantity and quality can lead to illness. So let's dive into those three doshas, which is the pillar concept of Ayurveda. Ayurveda was designed and developed based on the available molecular theory and philosophical understandings of that time. It never gets obsolete, and you can relate anything and everything around you matching with those basic theories. Even I was taught in the beginning that our body is composed of the three doshas called as kapha, pitha, and vata. Later I found that it has an even wider perspective. First of all, you need to understand that unlike modern science, Ayurveda doesn't count everything on the quantitative measurements. It's a science that is designed mostly relying on the qualities of a substance than the quantities. Back then, there were no tools to measure everything. All the physical, chemical, and biological properties of a substance were explained in terms of those qualities. There are approximately, but not limited to, 20 major specific qualities of substances textually mentioned in relation with a mass, movement, temperature, texture, viscosity, density, consistency, momentum, volume, and velocity of a substance. Those are universal qualities of substances, and those qualities fall under three divisions called as kapha, pitta, and vata. Those 20 qualities are sorted into just three to avoid confusions and to make the learning process easier. So basically, tridoshas are a universal natural phenomenon and not just a human thing. And those three types of qualities are found in our body too in different proportions and different tissues. Because despite being the fact that our body is composed of kapha, pitta, and vata, they cannot be measured in quantities. You cannot even take them out separately and put them in a specimen jar. But they are understood by the qualities and properties that they possess, and of course with their functions in the body. Some of them don't even have a proper form. But before we even talk about the qualities of three doshas, let's go to the micromolecular level of them. Ancient sciences like Ayurveda believe that everything in this universe, living or non-living, are made of 5 elements called as panchamahabhutas. In Sanskrit language, they are called as prithvi, jala, agni, vayu, and akasha. They can respectively be translated as earth, or the solid portion in a substance, water, or the liquid portion in a substance, fire, or the temperature factor in a substance, air, or the moving force inside a subject, and ether, or the free space in and around a substance. Although I use the English translated terms to get you an idea, please don't literally take them exactly as in the modern chemical formula. Even those 5 elements are understood with the qualities that they possess. Anyway, coming back to the 5 elements. Those elements are usually mentioned everywhere in a specific order. you can see the list goes from heavier to lighter in a descending order. Earth and water are heavier than the rest. Earth is solid and stationary, but water is moist and flowing liquid. Fire stands in the middle with completely different properties than the rest of the elements. And on the other end, air and space are lighter in density, free-moving, subtle, dry, and can forcefully move other elements. Fire, which is placed in the middle, is the only element deciding the temperature of all other elements associated with it. As we said earlier, anything in this world is made of those elements in different proportions. So are the tridoshas. Our body is composed of tissues having the qualities of tridoshas, and each of those doshas are made of 2 elements each. Let's see how. Earth and water together constitutes kapha. So you can expect to have all the properties of earth and water in kapha. Water and fire together makes pitha. So the properties of water and fire are obvious for pitha. Air and space together makes vata. So it will have the respective properties of air and space. You will be able to guess the properties of each doshas by now from the elements that it is made of. But there are specific qualities given as textual references to identify and understand each doshas. In fact, from this level, we never go back to the micromolecular panchamahabhuta theory anymore to explain things. Ayurveda rather sticks with a macro level of tridosha theory to make it less complex. Now, let's see what are those qualities of each doshas. Kapha is guru or heavy, shita or cold, mridu or soft, snigdha or moist or oily, madhura means sweet in taste, sthira means stable, and pichilla means jelly-like or frothy. Pitha comes in the middle for a reason, is having qualities like sasneham means slightly moist, ushnam means hot, tikshnam means quickly penetrating, laghu or light, dravam or liquid, amlam means sour or acidic in taste, saram means flowing, and katu means pungent or spicy. Vata or vayu having qualities like ruksha or dry, laghu means light, shita or cold in potency, khara means rough or coarse, sukshma means subtle or minute, chala or moving, and vishada means spreading, etc. Now, from the earlier said properties of doshas, we can almost assume the tissues in our body that are having the identical properties respectively. But to make it a bit more convenient in understanding the doshas, let's see the functions of doshas in the body, like what they do in our body in the first place. Functions of kapha are to give us stability, forming an external figure, keeping us always moisturized, keeping the joints and cartilages stable and lubricated, keeping our memory sharp, keeps us strong to push the limits, helps us for reproduction, etc. Whereas pitta helps us for digestion and metabolism, maintains our temperature, it develops desire and other emotions, creates hunger and appetite to eat, giving color to the body tissues such as skin, eyes, hair, blood, etc. And vata functions as the dosha that helps in respiration process, communication through the electrical impulses, and perception through the sense organs, specifically the sense of hearing and touch. Vata prompts reflexes to any stimulus, movements, or circulation of matter within the body, etc. Now, let's see how we can relate it with the modern physiological and anatomical concepts, although an exact translation to any other language or into the modern scientific terms is not quite possible. It's a bit more easy if we observe where the 3 doshas are predominantly distributed in our body. The upper portion, above your heart level, is categorized as the kapha predominant place, where you have your brain, the lungs, the central nervous system, etc. And along with them, the majority of your muscles, fat, vital organ structures, and some of the hormones, most of your mucosa and lubricants in the body, etc. are believed to be made of kapha as the predominant component. As you can see, they are basically solid or semi-solid soft structures with a stable form. Those places are moist than the rest. Everything is cold and slimy, like the mucosal lining of the airway and lungs. The middle portion, where most of your digestive process takes place, is predominant with pitha dosha. You have your gastric juices, enzymes, pancreatic juices, secretions of liver and gallbladder like the bile juice, majority of the hormones, some of the major components in the blood, lymph, etc. is found in this portion. You can observe these are mainly colored juices which are mostly acidic in its pH. They are digestive and destructive as it can even dissolve heavy metals. They are so hot in potency. And the vata dosha is predominantly found below the belly button, meaning inside the colon, in the legs, the uterus, bladder, etc., where there is lumen or cavities with air and space. Even most of the bigger skeletal parts like femur bone, your hip bones, lumbar vertebral bones, etc. are found there. The larger cavities in the lower body, which are either occupied or unoccupied with matter, is the actual place of vata. Your peripheral nervous system, the air or the force that moves different tissues into different places in your body, is vata. Any movements like peristaltic movements, muscular reflexes, sensation throughout the skin, etc. are carried out by vata. Now, the doshas distributed in their respective locations are for a reason. Their qualities can get increased or aggravated or diminished or even deranged in their own places, and that is the reason for the illness. Like for example, running nose, sinusitis, chest congestion, etc. in the kapha place. Gastritis, peptic ulcers, gallbladder stones, etc. in the pitta place. And constipation, bloating, colic pain, etc. in the vata place. Sometimes it can migrate to the rest of the locations and create another class of ailments. It may not be always the literal migration, but showing the qualities of one dosha in other dosha's predominant place is what we mean here. For example, if the qualities of pitta, which is supposed to be in the middle, shows up in the kapha place, can make a lot of issues like acid refluxes, heartburn, insomnia, paranoia, burning sensation in the upper body, autoimmune disorders, etc. If the same pitta in excess showed down the vata predominant place, can lead to irritable bowels, bleeding hemorrhoids, ulcers in the colon, etc. Sometimes, if one dosha blocks the passage of another one, that also can create ailments. Like for example, in obstructive jaundice, kidney stones, intestinal obstructions, coronary heart block, stroke with embolism, etc. Due to the time constraints, I cannot give a ton of examples here, so moving on. Like we said earlier, anything and everything around you is related with the tridosha theory, and it's matching in most of the occasions. The tridosha theory is actually applied as a universal phenomenon in Ayurveda. So, it's just not living beings or living tissues. Let's see a few examples. There are 7 dhatus or tissues described by Ayurveda by which our body is built up. They also represent the qualities of the 3 doshas. The concept of 6 days or shadrasa is also built up on the tridosha theory. Those days have an influence on the tridoshas in the same order. Likewise, the seasons in an year also have their own properties classified as kapha, pitta and vata. The concept of prakrithi or individual constitution also is divided based on the tridoshas. The ahara or food and beverages are also classified as their possible influence on the three doshas. For example, milk can increase kapha and decrease both pitha and vata. The vihara or activities are also have their own influence on the tridoshas. For example, sleeping in the daytime can increase kapha in the body, whereas staying sleepless at night can induce vata aggravation. Even a single day is divided into kapha phase in the morning, where you have mist and dew drops on the leaves, where you spit out most of your sputum and phlegm out. The pitta comes in the middle, where the sun rises up and comes on top of us. Most of the digestion is taking place at this time. You can even digest your biggest meal of the day at that time. Vata naturally comes after the evening, where you should eat less and sleep earlier to counter the vata from going up. In the same way, the digestive process in the first phase till stomach is carried out by kapha, starting with saliva and mucus. Then the gastric phase or the major pitta phase with secretions of most of the digestive juices happens. Finally, in the colon, vata acts and water resorption takes place before you move out the bowel. You can see that the end of every metabolism happens at vata place and the waste products are eliminated out. Your whole lifespan is also divided as kapha span till your adolescence. The pitta phase is the youth with reproductive ability, a lot of hormonal activities in the body. Vata kala is the final stage when your body starts deteriorating, the skin gets wrinkled and you cannot be reproductive anymore. A fruit, when it's tender and green, is in its kapha stage. The pitta makes it juicy, yellowish red, tasty, and you can squeeze out maximum juice. The vata kala starts with wrinkles, blackish color, and finally decaying it. An abscess or a wound in our body also goes through the same stages. A tough and tender fresh beginning then turns out to soft and reddish, then yellowish sometimes with mild pus formation, and then finally after discharging the pus it forms wrinkles and then leaves a black scar. In every organ or cell it has got the tridoshas kept in balance within itself. One helps the other to stay in the balance. Look at the stomach, where you have your G cells producing components like hydrochloric acid, which has properties of pitta, is surrounded by mucus producing cells which acts like kapha to protect the body from the ill effect of pitta. You also have a tough serous layer which has properties of vata, covers up everything by not letting them enter into the peritoneum. Now, so far what we saw is just theory. In practice, all the reasons of ailments are classified based on the tridosha properties that they have. So are the symptoms of the ailments. So are the diagnostics of each of them. Thousands of herbs, drugs, minerals, etc. are also classified using the same theory. Thousands of single drugs and thousands of classical textual medical formulations are made based on the same theory. Tons of Ayurvedic treatment procedures like snehana, urichil, pirichil, panchakarma, swedana, etc. are also designed with the same theory. So they are applied everywhere on individuals as internal and external medicines and as a routine lifestyle, keeping the same theory in mind. So to sum it up, let's have a recap. Ayurveda teaches us to stay close to the nature as much as possible. The qualities found in the nature is found in our body too. And your body is frequently subjected and constantly exposed to the nature with the food and beverages you take, the activities that you do, the climate you live, and with the age that you progress through. When you expose to similar qualities, it will cause an increase in the respective qualities in your body. When you expose to the opposite qualities, it will diminish the respective factor within your body. For medical purpose, those qualities are divided into vata, pitta, and kapha. That's been it for the day. This is Dr.Sreeraj. Thank you for being around. See you in another video with another basic principle. Until then, stay safe and strong.